Good evening. Well, in a few minutes' time in Madrid, we shall have the draw for the 1982 World Cup, and we should be going to the Congress Hall there live to see it made. I'm sure I don't have to remind you of the added interest there is for Britain now that England, Scotland and Northern Ireland have all qualified for the finals, which will be played in Spain in June and July. Well, in the last few minutes, some of the team managers have been arriving in the hall. There's the familiar figure of England's Ron Greenwood, and I'm sure not far behind, yes, there he is, the man who's guided Scotland to the World Cup finals, Jock Stein, with Billy Bingham of Northern Ireland on the right of the picture there. And the familiar figure of Enzo Bearzot, the Italian team manager. He's been under a lot of pressure lately, but he looks in a pretty jubilant frame of mind there. Well, joining me here tonight also are three men with very much a vested interest in the draw. One is the England goalkeeper, Ray Clemence. And Ray, it now seems to be confirmed at last that England will be seeded. What's your reaction to that?
Well, obviously, I think we all think that we're very lucky to be seeded. But having said that, we're very pleased to be seeded, and we hope we can take advantage of it.
What are the advantages, do you think?
Well, obviously, by all the reports, we're going to be based in Bilbao, which in the first place is going to be the least hot place. Yes. So therefore that's going to be better for us in playing conditions. And also we get the advantage of playing our first 3 games in the one stadium, which is going to be another tremendous advantage as well. And
you also avoid, although there'll be a few dangerous wild cards in the pack, the real biggies, the Brazils, the Argentinas, the West Germanys.
Yes, they're certainly not the sort of teams that you want to come up against in your opening match. You want to try and play your way in. But obviously there's 1 or 2 other strong sides as well, as you say, which really we'd like to steer clear of in the opening group.
Yeah, so far so good for England, at any rate. Good. Well, meanwhile up in Lancashire we've got Asa Hartford, who captained Scotland in the past season, and also the captain of Northern Ireland, Martin O'Neill, both of Manchester City. Asa, the talk today is, though, that Scotland could finish up in England's group. What's your reaction to that?
Well, if that's so, I think we'd be quite happy with that. Because if you look at the top seeds, you know, out of the 6, I would say we would much prefer to play against England or be seeded with Italy. And that would suit us fine.
Do you feel in any way slightly peeved that you haven't been seeded yourself? Because, I mean, Scotland reached the last 2 World Cup finals. They did everything supremely right in all their group games. Yeah,
to be fair, I think we feel a little bit aggrieved that we're not one of the second seeds, and a little bit upset that England, who after all haven't done anything for 16 years since they actually won the World Cup in 1966, you know, have not qualified since then, and they're in there as #1 seeds. From that point of view, I think if we'd played all our matches, if the World Cup was held in Scotland and we'd played all our matches at Hampden, I'd fancy us to win the World Cup. So, yeah, we feel a little bit aggrieved.
Ray, do you sympathise with him?
It's the old England-Scotland thing again, isn't it? Is that we could be arguing all for this half hour about England and Scotland, but we did win it, and that's the reason that we're there.
Yes. Well, Martin O'Neill, you're there, Martin, as well. Did you get a game this afternoon, Martin?
Yes, I played in the reserves, actually, because it's... I think it's only about 3 games I've played in the last 2 months, so a little bit of match fitness there, Brian.
Yes. Now, while people are talking about seeding and whether they're not going to be seeded, I suppose, as skipper of Northern Ireland, you're just delighted to be there, aren't you?
Absolutely. You know, if we could get Luxembourg and Mallorca, I think we'd be absolutely delighted with that. But, yes, this time last year, we had been delighted to be one of the 24 sides. But now that we've actually made it, we're hoping to make some sort of show.
Yes. And do you feel that, I mean, do you think that you could be one of the dangerous jokers in the pack, if I can put it that way?
I don't see why not, to tell you the truth, because we've got some good players, and in our qualifying rounds we only conceded 3 goals. So I think that will probably be difficult to beat. Our problem's actually getting goals at the other end, but I think that's a worldwide problem anyway.
Yes, I mean, being not one of the seeded sides, you're going to come up against someone pretty tough. Is there anyone that you really feel we don't want to draw them tonight?
Well, in the second seeded teams, I think they've knocked off a lot of East European teams. And I think Austria are the only side in it, if I'm correct in saying that. Right. If that is so, we're going to end up playing teams that I would really be worried about, like Russia. Yugoslavia, I've always felt excellent side. During the early 70s, middle 70s, I thought they were as good a side that was playing in Europe at that time.
That's to say nothing of the top seeded players. Asa, is there a side that you would hope, you know, Scotland will not get drawn against?
Well, obviously we're hoping to steer clear of the 3, well, I would say the 3 favourites, you know, Spain, the host nations, Argentina, and probably the favourites, Brazil. So, as I said before, Italy or England would do us fine. But as far as the second seeds are concerned, then we'd like to keep well away from Russia. I fancy to go well, they could go all the way, I feel.
Yes. Well, in a moment we should be going across to Madrid, but let me just, before we do that, explain to you how the draw will be made tonight. 24 nations have qualified, and they will be drawn into 6 groups, each with 4 teams, and already those 24 nations have been split up into 4 sections. Now, the first section will be the top seeds, and there will be one of these teams in each of the 6 groups, and the seeds are Argentina, the holders, Spain, the hosts, the former winners, Brazil, England, Italy, and West Germany. Then there's a second section, and these will be one each of these teams in the 6 groups as well. These were the teams that Martin was talking about a moment ago: Austria, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Poland, the USSR, and Yugoslavia, mostly Eastern European countries. Then there's the third section, and there'll be one each of these teams in the 6 groups as well: Chile, Belgium, France, Northern Ireland, Peru, and Scotland. And then we have the fourth section, also one of these nations in every group as well, and these are the real underdogs, the minnows, but of course, who can tell these days? There's Algeria, the Cameroons, El Salvador, Honduras, Kuwait, and there's New Zealand. Now, it may seem a little complicated to you, but I can assure you that when you see it go up on the screens in Madrid, it's all going to fall into place.